Are you guys gonna do it right now? Don't write a comment. Write a new post. Yeah. I hate Patreon. You're so slow and laggy, and I don't know why. No, that's fine. Sorry for the delay.
Alright, what, Sam?
I was gonna say a bitch. I was really tongue-in-cheek about this. Sorry for that. For the love of God. Yeah, no shit. Can I not make that massive? Thank you. Okay.
Very good.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Cool. Let's. Oh, jeez. Where are you sitting, Andy? You have to start. Where are you sitting? Your special spot?
This special stool you brought just to be like.
Wonderful.
Red.
Yeah.
Did we lose everybody?
No, I got one person.
That's me.
It's you? You monster. Yeah, maybe. But it happened. Oh, well. This
We're
one?
just let you see who many people are on our computer. Oh, okay.
A little person symbol.
Two little person symbol.
You want to give it a minute? See if people. Okay.
Yeah, see the new post?
Yeah,
Go back.
because they get emails for when there's a Patreon post.
Ooh.
Yeah, baby.
Did you modify the original post with the old link?
No, I did not. Oh god.
Just bang.
That's all they need to see.
Bang on that.
Don't laugh. It's serious.
I don't know if you have to laugh. You took the whole like 15 seconds.
Patreon sucks.
No.
Oh. Ew. No. No. I'm attacked. I don't want to be scared. Oh,
That's the most funny.
See yourself like.
You're small.
I am small. For the love of God, Patreon. Oh.
See? It's weird.
Huh?
Like, it's just behind like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
See? I did not just. I made that actually 15 seconds ago.
You know what action I made 15 seconds ago? Clicking the edit button.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it took?
15 seconds.
Too fucking long.
They're like, Brian's sitting down and he just got up off the electric. It's funny. There you go.
Hey, look at that.
There's my hand again. I like to point.
Take a second away.
coverage?
So
Is
the
that
one
coverage?
person, one person is Andy.
Mm-hmm.
What? Maybe we know everything goes sideways.
Mm-hmm. One day we'll get live streams, right?
One day.
Make a note next time, don't go to Patreon, because that's what messes everything up.
Oh, you went through Patreon this time?
I think that's what happened last time. We just have to redo it
Okay.
through YouTube.
Okay. For sure. My arms hurt.
Yeah. I like upper body hurts. Look at my
It's
hands
been
now.
working out.
Oh,
We were around the woods yesterday.
No.
Plant a
That's
bunch
right.
of
Plant
things.
trees.
Yeah, we did.
my arms aren't meant for
But I'm
Very
like,
inspiring.
Yeah.
that.
So get used to your free time.
Yeah.
Climbing trees.
I
That's good.
love it.
Sam got a good cryptid pick.
Keep the inner child going.
Is that cryptid?
No, Sam was the cryptid.
Yeah, I was.
You were the cryptid?
Yeah. So I'm in the woods, got a bunch of blurry pics of me.
You have a cool name.
This
Scariest thing so
did this activity incur or involve any kind of ingesting of magical ingredients?
Oh my god, you're so convinced we do drugs because of that one meeting now.
It's like I'm just thinking like
The woods are.
what the idea of like running around in the woods taking crypt pictures. Okay.
You know,
No, I'm not judging.
Sometimes you just
I'm all
want to have a
for
good time, Brian.
I'm all for having those experiences.
We're all.
Open the mind.
We were all. We were sober. We just wanted to go play in the
Was
woods
that
like we
really
were
scary?
7.
Oh,
We
that's
saw a fox, saw a woodpecker, saw some
Right.
ducks, saw a yacht.
Yeah.
a yacht.
In the
Yeah.
Mississippi, it's nasty.
Oh,
Yeah. Saw a golden doodle.
Yeah.
Golden doodle. In the wild?
Yeah. Wild golden doodle.
Wow.
No, so brought the dog to the lake and then we were trying to drink the river. And we're like, don't drink the river water. It's literally Mississippi. It's
Golden
disgusting.
doodles are the coolest dogs.
Sit down a rock face.
Yeah.
where were you? Were you at?
No,
we went to the
Minute-
gorge.
Yeah, Mississippi Gorge Regional Park.
Never heard of that. Where is that?
I don't know.
No one knows.
I don't know.
I don't know.
You just gotta check out the gorge, guys.
It's a magical,
Mom never
ethereal
sent me a
place.
picture of me on top of that thing.
Probably because I might have taken it and I haven't posted any images.
You gotta do that. I need it to change.
Where have I been?
Work. Gosh, it's still just Andy.
Shout out to Andy,
Shut up.
most loyal follower.
Well, that's weird. You literally had food on your own live stream. Like,
You gotta stand yourself, Andy.
you're believing yourself. You will.
How long do we wait? Or should we just keep going or start going or
No, people watch it afterwards, so that they're probably pretty bored right now that nothing's happened for 9 minutes.
Oh, true.
So, if that's a story,
Right.
it's just-
Oh, God. Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Would it be good to start over?
Start over.
Like start a new feed?
That,
Yeah, one new league.
can you edit it in the software?
Might be able to.
We can probably change the link to so many minutes in.
That makes sense. Maybe we should just address what we're doing here.
We're telling stories of where we all
Cryptid Tinder pictures.
consume a little stuff.
Yeah, they didn't take any drugs.
You're so convinced.
Oh
so, Andy.
0 people are watching
Oh, you left?
now. Yeah.
Oh, even you left.
All right. So, doing this brainstorming for the new a new direction I want to take with each channel, and it's going to be kind of inspired by the next video that will hopefully come out on Wednesday. That's tin, which is kind of a crucial component in the evolution of human history. It's allowed the creation of bronze, which is a pretty hard metal, allows you to make some effective tools. And kind of a roadblock since the beginning, and I did the video way back, trying to just skip over Bronze Age and go straight to Iron, and wasn't the best results. So now we've done a bunch of casting, we've done lots of sourced copper and now tin. So now we can make bronze and we can actually make metal tools. So the idea is basically going to remove the restriction on tools, which when I started this, it was about making a sandwich, and I wanted it to be about the food. So now we're doing more complicated things that I didn't even think were possible in the beginning. It starts to make less sense. So then seeing a lot of complaints about it, and it gets confusing, and I think this will be an improvement, and also kind of reveals a lot more of history. We kind of skim over. Making tools is such an important aspect of that. And so with this, kind of changing the rule source, we have to start making our own tools. I actually wanted to kind of take advantage of this to basically start back in the Stone Age and then kind of chronologically work my way up to modern time. And I feel that also kind of helps connect where we are, what we're doing, so we're not jumping around. Like this week we're making an 18th century camera, or the 19th century camera using Bronze Age tools and except no metals, and hopefully it'll be a little bit clearer. TV is flickering, that's very distracting. Oh, we have a 0. Awesome.
How can we do that?
Yeah, how do you fix that?
Are we doing HDMI or are we doing like a?
We're doing AirPlay.
That's a problem. AirPlay's never been reliable a day in its life.
So I'm going through, I'm trying to come up with a list of any possible idea we might ever want to go, and kind of a rough date of when historically that was made, and then building that timeline and kind of weaving a sequence through that of what we want to do. Hitting key things like making certain metals like bronze and iron that are key for making other things, also making like primitive things to make more advanced things. So like you make the wheel back in 3500 BC before you make a car, which is beyond what this timeline is at right now. Yep. And then something I would kind of divide into 2 categories. We have kind of the primary chain, which are kind of the videos. Like, pretty sure we're going to want to do these, and they're generally the most important ones. And we have what I'm calling the pool, and that's just kind of optional ideas that we could do. And it's kind of as we progress through the primary chain, kind of opens up this pool of ideas of anything then or earlier that we are open to us to do an episode if we feel like make something that would be compelling, would be interesting, or anything else. So this is kind of just a rough outline I put together. I feel like I'm probably missing some important things. Like some of the beginning ones have the tools we need to make for them. The later ones I probably know less about. Like, I mean, making lenses and stuff, we're going to need to make a lens lathe. So kind of, that stuff will eventually need to be fleshed out and stuff. Yeah, so I guess the big thing is to kind of get everybody's input on this. If there's any key things we're missing, anything you disagree with, like, I don't think this would be worth doing something like this here, or and then the other thing to keep in mind is this is going to be part of our series, and we also have And the flip side of rebuilding civilization from the ground up is making things when civilization collapsed from the ruins that still exist. So it's using the junk that is still around to build stuff. So it's not from scratch, and that's basically kind of the upcycle series we started before that I'm gonna go more into, and that's gonna be kind of in contrast to this. And last week we did a lot of brainstorming, a whole board full of very interesting ideas. So I think one thing to kind of think about now is how do I kind of connect it to the main series so it doesn't feel disconnected, whether that's directly inspired things so that when we make a chariot using from scratch technology, we also try and make a car or a go-kart or out of some sort of scrap we can get access to, or something like that, somewhere it doesn't feel so disconnected. Yeah. Go.
Oh, jeez.
So, man, I don't. If this is too far later on the ideation process, but like, would you be able to kind of, because I think helping to kind of dig into your mind as to how you see this could be helpful. So, like, using one of these as an example, can you kind of outline how you see this might play out in an actual video or multiple videos? So, like, if we were, because Flint Dax is the first one we have planned, right?
Yeah, so that's actually partially filmed already with the Flint mapper that I met with in England. He helped me make a hand axe and some saws and some drill pieces that got developed. So most of that's already done in an interview with him. It should be pretty good. So then after that, I have those tools, making some things with it. One of them will be a digging stick, which I was just looking at. It can be something useful for collecting clay, which would be important for any smelting and a variety of other things as well. And if I want to plant crops.
I see. So it's kind of like in one video, we are getting to agriculture.
Yeah.
So like this is kind of the end result, in that we basically enter the agriculture age.
Yeah.
At the end of the video. I see. Okay.
Yeah. So the next one would be with using native copper chisels. It was kind of the first way copper was used, was they just found nuggets and they pounded it with rocks into chisels, and then they would use that to chisel out some boats and stuff, which has been being made for a very long time. This is actually when I was at the archaeological farm. They had several boats they had carved out using flint tools as an experimental archaeology experiment to see like how long it actually took. Like the one guy, I think he was just making the flint tools over and over again because they kept breaking it, and they found like some army guys who were just like over using it. Then they also did one where they burned it out and then worked on from there. All right, a little bit of a clue of what way makes it easier to burn the bulk of the wood out.
Yeah.
So that will probably be a challenge. But we can burn it off water and see if it floats. That'd also be a good base because later on I was thinking a sailboat right here.
Right.
And that's and tie in. Sails were made out of woven cloth. So the very first loom that was made was a warp-weighted loom, which is pretty simple. So we would make that to make the sails, and then bring it all up and take it out on the body of water we choose.
And then get my grave of leaving you like scary. So see you can make your way home.
Can we back up? So like at the boat, canoe, like with this, is this all one video?
So when they're all touching things, those are all one video.
I see. Okay.
All the different things we made.
Okay.
To be made. That's what I'm kind of visualizing it. I mean, the alternative way we could try and structure this is to make a bronze axe, that's one video. Make a bronze knife, that's one video. Make a grindstone, that's one video. And I don't know if that's better or worse. I feel like having a through storyline where if things that are kind of the same grouped together would be more compelling.
I mean, I wonder. I guess that's the part of the challenge with like YouTube, where videos we're looking at videos as kind of these standalone things versus a series. I mean, like the boat series, I could see like that could be a compelling, more longer series.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, and as part of this, I'm just wondering if, you know, kind of like watching a reality show or like, you know, the Amazing Race or something where, you know, you're committed because you want to see you're committed to the process as well. And I'm just wondering if that would compel us, if we structured this in a way where the process was interesting enough that people would transition from, you know, video to video. I just think, I mean, I feel like that's a very compelling formula as well.
I mean, like breaking a single project into multiple videos.
Or yeah, like having interconnected videos where people just really get invested in the process, and that because of that, we also have more time to spend on it because part of what we're leaving a lot of really great stuff on the cutting room floor right now, just because we're trying to keep everything under 20 minutes.
So yeah, that might be something we experiment with. But the best way to do it is some of these projects will get kind of complex, but the hope is that it starts simple. So it's like you're making just a dugout canoe before you're making a steamboat. So it's hopefully like you're building on top of each other, but more complex ones, it might probably be good to consider breaking it up.
Mm-hmm. Would you be using the canoe as the base for the sailboat and then the steamboat? So you're like possibly building on top of each other?
That is definitely an option. It would probably depend on if it floats. I guess how big if we want to like make it bigger. As we advance, we might be wanting to build the boat body a different way, where they like, make planks and cover it with some sort of sealant, I guess. I don't know when that would be. That might be something we want to add. We want to develop like making boats series, build what are the big boats called?
Ships.
Like
I feel like some of the first ones that had like planks that were like pitched then were Viking longships, probably.
Yeah. Good example.
So that would fit between canoes and sailboats. Well, they have sails.
Yeah.
They have sails, but they also oar.
Yeah, they're kind of combination.
Hmm.
Yeah, one person.
Yeah. Say hi, Andy.
Hello. Who is it?
Liz.
Reliable Liz.
I hear you. Wait, at least I can't read that. The text is too tiny.
It's okay. You don't have to stare at the camera. Talk amongst yourself. Thanks, Liz.
My hero.
I mentioned it the one time, but did you give any more thought on if you want to or not? Do we have like the pool, maybe putting up like 3 options and letting patrons or like YouTube people vote in a poll? Or not want to do that?
I think we can try it out and see if we are like unsure. We need to do one more video before we can do anything in the primary series, and we don't know which of these would be better. The idea of the poll is that we can brainstorm like what's gonna have a clickbait title before we make it.
Well, it's gonna be really interesting to watch.
Yeah, but definitely an option we can use.
Yeah, I agree. I think polls are a lot of fun. I mean, I watched an entire YouTube channel that's just about ants. and I'm very invested in like what he names his ant problem. So I think even having like this is obviously higher stakes because I know a lot of YouTube channels do it where he names something, but to like decide a whole video stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know Delightful does that. Like,
Yeah.
Doing like doll boxes and stuff like that.
Yeah. I watch Soap Maker, so I was like, here's the question of the day, and then it's like a would you rather.
Mm-hmm.
Like, would you rather be able to smell with your hands or like have tongues on your feet, something like that. Like both our options are bad, but then you can decide which one's less awful. Yeah.
Hopefully ours is what's best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the good thing about poll is that you don't get a bunch of people saying slime. So. Huh?
Oh, it was some place they were like, name our whatever, and the name submitted was Bodie McBoatface or something.
Oh, hell yeah.
So I give them options. You let them choose from those.
Yeah.
That is a good idea, though. To have people come up with the names. Like, we cast a sword. What do we name the sword? What do we name our boat?
Yes.
Name the boat would be, yeah.
That's really fun, yeah.
People care a lot.
Or we give that as a Patreon reward if people sit in tears.
Oh, yeah, they get to name it? Yeah. Ooh, fun. So we're talking about how certain upcycle things could correlate with some of the stuff there. Is that like the goal right now?
Like, I mean, this is kind of, I put this together. So it's like your guys' reactions, any flaws that I overlooked, anything that doesn't make sense, anything else like that.
I think it's pretty comprehensive. But I would have to look at actual archaeological records to see what we're missing there.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure this is not the entire breadth of innovation.
Yeah. And there's stuff I'm sure we'll discover as we go.
Right.
Point out.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely interesting laying this out because it's a kind of a unique way of looking at history. Because usually you just look at dates and it's like, oh wow, that was a long, long time ago. And then it's like you start comparing all the long, long times ago. Like, there's a very large gap before things like an animal mill was first used, or what's one that's that's the how to pronounce it, Aero It's like the very first steam engine. Like I remember hearing about that, like how the Greeks had in theory the knowledge to make a steam engine, but like through here it's actually relatively late in history. If you can call 100 AD late in history.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh,
When you do astronomy, we should do horoscopes.
Maybe.
I think that'd be kind of funny.
there's just fun.
Astronomy is by the compass in 200 BC.
So like the boat canoe one, the native copper. So we go up to the North Shore, source native copper, bring it back, smelt it in. Can you use a modern smelter?
But that way you don't need to smelt it, we just cold work it.
Just cold work it. Okay. So you create the hammer and the chisel, and then you carve out the boat. But if you want to burn out the boat first, what would you use to burn it? You have to then source. Like, would that all have to be from scratch?
The fire? Yeah. I don't think details.
Okay.
What the match episode we're going to be doing next week should kind of cover making fire. I feel it's going to be a bridge. We're going to kind of have that. Most fire was just kind of kept going.
Okay.
Get the number alive at all times.
Yeah.
So because we've done fire, we can then use like a propane torch.
We just have the fire
seen taxation, and I'm like, how are we gonna do that? I'm actually gonna taxes taken out of my paycheck. Taxation. Or like we'll have to just like give Andy a piece of our lunch.
Mhm.
Taxes. That's what we do in my apartment. If you're cutting cheese, roommate tax. I get a piece.
Yeah, so there are vague concepts like taxation. We also have these symbolic language and language on there. That's if you want to do an episode on inventing our own language or creating our own written text. I feel like that might be a lot of work for a video that may or may not be well received if you want to like actually do it accurately. So they're kind of biggies. Like if we're gonna do it, we should do it in that sequence.
Alright.
And just in general, the milestones in history and human history, because each one opened up greater learning and sharing of information.
I had an idea for the symbolic language. We make our own like set of emojis. We release them to like patrons, and then we have like almost a game show where like we make a sentence out of them, and we're like, guess what it means, and then if you get it right, I don't know what you
You
get.
could do that on Discord. Like the emojis that are there, you can just upload new ones and then have that be like you can only talk in symbol in this particular channel.
Yeah.
If you type it out, we'll delete your message.
Yeah. Just like if you wanted to like touch on it and not maybe do a whole video on it,
Mm-hmm.
you could still incorporate it in a way that fans.
That'd be fun too, because then you could have them be a part of the video. Like you take screenshots of the actual. Like,
Or
chat.
we try to guess what they say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like write something with our hieroglyphs, and we'll try to guess what it was,
Yeah.
what you meant, like charades, but not charades.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Create a language.
What did this say?
Liz says, have you thought about maybe taking a modern object and going back in time to recreate early iterations? Like start with a soda can and go back to early metal cans. Go further to jars or pots. Maybe not the best example, but a way to show how everyday items have such a history. So that would be like showing, like, I saw mirrors on the list. So like mirrors used to, like what they're made out of now, I don't know. But the whole like vampire lore, the vampires couldn't see themselves was because it was back to the silver. And we don't do that anymore because it's too precious. So just like taking items like that and going back to showing how they used to be made.
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of done that to some extent. And some of these items I have on here actually have more primitive versions that were invented before. Mirror is a good example because before that they would like polish obsidian, they would polish bronze. The data I have is when it was more kind of like what we today think of as a mirror, when it was glass with metal on top of it. So in that episode, we could then make both that and also polish obsidian and those, make a few different mirrors and see how it was done up to that point.
Yeah.
And then we're also doing like pots and pans too, right?
Yeah, we want to do the cooking
Yeah.
with the utensils. So we have I've tried to get a few different ways of making them. It's a little varied. That have a porcelain plate, a wood bowl.
There's a wood tankard, I remember.
A wood tankard. Silverware.
That'd be fun.
Like a copper cast iron skillet. We had a copper pot. Interesting thing with that is we have to be careful because certain things will leach the copper and make it toxic.
Ooh.
So it's actually tin plated. Any copper items today are tin plated, which is interesting to try and do when we use the Big Dad battery.
Like it's just a thin sheet of copper? Or-
Tin plated.
Oh, tin plated. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said 10 plated. Okay. How does this look copper then? Like, they just color it? Like copper pots and pans, like high-end chef ones.
I think they usually just copper on the outside,
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
and then inside they have either tin plating or probably more modern.
Okay. So you just use it for the heat.
Yeah. The Big Dad battery, it's theorized that it could have been used for electroplating, which might be interesting. There's no evidence it was ever actually done back then, but it would be interesting. Like using that technology where we're at right now, could we do it?
That could be something you could venture into as we progress through history. Like, can you jump forward with the things you have?
Yeah, it's actually kind of like with like the yeah.
Where is it in the timeline? Give me a number.
After Steel 100. That's what's point as being the first steam engine. It's like, could you start the Industrial Revolution in 180? And I'm not sure what the answer to that is.
Find out.
I'm gonna play it.
I think, yeah, and maybe this is, something that I can help because I'm such a producer and just try to break things into bite-sized chunks. And I think it's like it would be good to, I think, as part of this mission is to also be very clear with the audience as to what are we trying to achieve. And whether that's breaking it into like a discovery section, and then breaking it down because I'm like thinking, one of the things about a lot of this stuff is, figuring out the physics behind it, and I think that's really compelling. Whereas like a lot of times it took them, it took a lot of time for somebody to discover like, oh, the apple hit me on the head, that means gravity. It's like, like that we can maybe fast track that through some sort of a process, or do we have fun with that? Where we kind of maybe simulate the evolution of a concept too. I think that could be compelling. So it's like, for instance, like, with this, because these are how do I say it? Just in what parts are actually like done on camera versus done maybe through some sort of other storytelling method. To transition from part to part. Because to me, these all seem like very disparate items. And I just won't see, I understand that the through line is time, but it's also being like, well, because it's like people's concept of something, the concept of being able to build up pressure, I think that kind of added to then a lot of concepts. Do you know what I'm saying? I'm not explaining.
Liz said something. I just want to. So highlighting the elements of the research phase, kind of. Like we would include tidbits of that, I guess. Or.
Well, I think it's a big part of it, but also the storytelling. Like, so we are. It's like the. It's kind of like with MythBusters, where they have you see them go through the process prior to the making of it.
Like part where they write down all like the massive concept, where they're like, "This is what we're
they
gonna
design it,
build."
and it's like they design.
They have like the animation of like the design kind of.
Yeah,
And so it's like we're gonna build this, so we're gonna use this material this way. The physics should work like this, and then they go into the build.
Yeah. Part of my thought with this would be that we have like prototyping phase where like we do a test run using modern tools. That's not as a film, more like here's what I came up with. Here's what I learned. Maybe make it a miniature, maybe 3D print something to test out the physics of it, like we can model wire wheel, make sure everything's gonna fit together. I don't think that would be a component of it. It would kind of help separate it from like primitive technology where it's just in the woods. You just see the finished result. Coming from the future, we know we have all advanced tools, but then we're going to go back and do it
Right.
to really get a taste of how like long it would have took with that tool or that
Right.
material.
So basically, so it'd be kind of like, in the video, you would say, well, we're going to be doing this thing. So, but first, I prototyped this just to see how it works. So we kind of did all the R&D, and now we're just hopscotch that, jump right into it.
Yeah.
But establishing that we did all that beforehand.
Yeah. So like for the first one, probably you could have like a prototype one digging stick that I made with modern tools, like figure out what shape works best, what woods, and then that means something on at least do.
Right.
And then like this works best.
Right.
Like, okay, then I go and do it. And
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'm just thinking like part of the, the through line and seeing that, because that's interesting content too.
I do have the pronunciation pulled up if you want to hear it.
Sure.
That's really interesting.
Lollipop,
What?
lollipop, lollipop, lollipop,
Yo,
lollipop.
Yo. Okay.
Nobody's got it.
Yolapile. Basically, I think you don't say the AE, you just go Yolapile.
Lollipop,
Steve mentioned this much better.
It does.
Nope.
You do?
Yeah.
Yolapile.
I think Brian brings up an interesting point, though, when it comes to introduction of like scientific innovation on a more cerebral level. So, like, when was gravity invented? Or like when talking about astronomy, maybe talking about math, like math from scratch.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, math is on.
It is.
Mhm.
It's math of what was invented.
Well, yeah, and I guess because I'm wondering because a part of this is also, it's like covering because part of innovation is basically that we went from thinking something's not possible to thinking something's possible, and just that shift in our brains to realizing that something's possible. All of us made everything a paradigm shift, and it's like if there's some way where we can kind of capture that, I think that could be really interesting. It's kind of like I'm watching Westworld right now, and I already talked about this, where it's like it's kind of like you're watching and you're like, oh, I get it in theory, but then realizing, just seeing the twists and turns, and all of a sudden, now I'm literally like thinking about, the possibility of, machines eventually getting consciousness. Like that's a real thing, and it's like, wow, that is trippy. Like it's like, it's before it was sci-fi, and now it's actually possible. To the point that like Elon Musk is warning us about, about that. So it's kind of like being able to capture that as part of this. I think would be interesting. I don't know how that would be.
The core concept of this is that it took more years to get through, because they had to change the way they thought about things to know it's possible. Like,
Right.
approaching this already knowing all of this is possible. So kind of see, can we speed run it? But I think along the way we're going to find this in between stuff, but we never really thought of something. Whoa, changes the way I see it, like we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
That's half of what we've already been doing.
Liz says, like how stirrups radically changed war, small things that made a big change.
Yes.
Yeah, because then people stay on the horses. Stirrups.
Something I thought would have come a lot earlier in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also maybe how certain things kind of sped up innovation, like war versus or disease, or like an outbreak of something, where we also maybe create scenarios at times for fun,
of a player.
I don't know.
Popped in
But-
my head was that people would launch catapults, diseased bodies into fortresses. They're like, here you go. We're gonna
Or just like creating kind of
boil
like
you out.
creating a
Um,
place, or we're doing a like that type thing.
Would be a next integration of the game that involve that.
Yeah.
Yeah, play at home.
mm,
Another group I wanted to point out doing the research was bunch of like cool bunch of games and toys and stuff. I thought was interesting how old they actually are. It'd be cool to like do that in one video or a series of videos.
We're gonna play poop and stick.
I think that's actually pretty recent invention.
Really?
I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
The yo-yo came before
In the
poop and
Bronx.
stick. Oh, this is more. It'd make memorable clickbait.
Also, it's really interesting that marbles predate marble. They really play with clay.
That game. Mahjong, that's what I was thinking.
Oh yeah.
Or like, yeah. Or what's the
Go.
Yeah, go. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Little pieces. I wonder how far back that is.
What's that one? Moncala?
Yeah. You have like the board. It's got wells.
Yeah.
You have the little. Now you play with like those. Basically, the pebbles you get at fish tanks.
Yeah.
My sister had we never learned how to play. We just like never.
Yeah. It was dangerous.
Yeah.
And, yeah, in fourth grade, it was dangerous. That's how you lose money.
I was learning how to play Chinese checkers.
No, we're done that.
Does it have the photo of the Are we gonna try to connect upcycle ideas to this right
Yeah.
now, or just?
That's what we could do. A good next step would be just like dividing these up and doing some research to come up with like a template of like what goes into a video, like so kind of potential names for the video, what materials, what tools will be needed, what expert we could contact, and like what a rough outline would look like, and more of that way to get fleshed out. But
So like the flint axe. So you have to go out and get the flint.
I think I'm gonna skim over that. When I talked about it with the flint knapper guy, he said a lot of flint on the surface isn't good because it's been weathered and cracks and it's not large chunks. So one of the first things people mined was actually flint. So if I really wanted to be technical, I would need to get an antler pickaxe and first I have to kill
Your dear.
a deer without any tools.
Persistence hunt. Ooh,
Well, you have a spear if we make it from the pool in the previous one.
yeah. But still that persistence hunt though.
And then dig it up, which I don't even know. That is one of the challenges. Resources is that things that were once plentiful aren't anymore.
Mhm.
So that's going to be one of the exceptions is that I don't have to source all of my stuff. I just need to like learn where it comes from and try and get at least a little bit so that I can run the process for processing it.
So you're at least refining a raw form of it yourself versus trying to also dig up enough of the raw form to refine
Yeah.
to make it.
So like it's learning the process and everything. When the world does actually end, and people don't have the claims over the rich sources, I can go there and harvest it and actually rebuild this.
Ooh, more Liz. Have you considered doing a mini-series on survival tools, maybe with of an overnight stay in the wild with only those items? Maybe enough to like live in the woods for a week. Like just the bare essentials.
What are the bare essentials?
Bears.
Drop them in a lake.
I've been saying this since the beginning.
All you need is Bear Grylls, and then you're good.
No, I would
Bare
say
essentials.
the compass, some kind of knife, some kind of axe.
Flint.
You can even I use wood sticks.
Yeah, but that's
Kind of.
depending on the weather.
Yeah. Well, you have like set sticks. Like you,
Oh,
you
yeah.
temper them so that and you keep them dry. I've watched a lot of primitive technology. But also, yeah, getting flint and steel.
It could be a good way to build in just kind of a trial of things. Now that I've made a compass,
Oh,
to get
this is
dropped
more.
off in the lake and try it out.
This says more clickbait. My face container for water. Yeah, you want that.
Yeah.
You want something to purify water too. If you can find running water.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a container for water that could withstand boiling.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's fired, yeah.
I'm trying to look over the water purification in its history. Earliest I saw was 200 BC. When they were just draining water through reeds and stuff.
Like, was it?
Desalination under
You can use coal.
Yeah, charcoal.
Yeah.
Clear.
Soaks up impurities.
I was thinking of what's the Roman thing? They like carried
Aquafilter?
water. Aquifer. Was it aquifers or
aqueduct.
aqueducts? Yeah, that was big in the Nichols started. That they were making aqueducts. I don't know.
But that doesn't purify it.
No, that's more just transportation.
Yeah, just have one throughout the office.
Yeah. Water the plants.
Fish.
Yeah, dog's dish.
You should. Yeah, where is she?
She's with Taylor.
Oh,
Buddies.
okay.
The buddies.
Oh, cute.
Taylor's office.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's quiet.
It's her office. But it's not.
Mhm. Oh, more from Liz. No, in fact, the aqueducts were horribly filled with lead. I believe that. They had no idea what lead was doing. They thought like this, they used it as a sweetener. They were like, makes stuff sweet. Let's put it in our drinks. And the Romans.
Delicious.
There's gonna be one challenge with historically accurate things is they weren't always the smartest choice.
Yeah, buddy. But they did work to get water somewhere. It just horribly poisoned the water.
Yeah. Mhm. So, how are we going to split this?
Who would want to volunteer for some? I would say let's start with lead up to the Iron Age. Focus on those first.
Okay.
I think, because I think ideally, because it's like somebody has to then take this, from concept to actually, to like production form, and it's like, is that could be the person doing the research could help do that, because ideally we want to probably figure out how to do each section in 5-minute increments or something. So I think it just, I'm bringing it up now because it can probably help really make the research efficient, because people are doing tons of research if all we need to do is pick one thing from that.
Yeah, we've already worked on the first few of them up through like bronze smelting. So I can start putting those together. I think making a few of those will then figure out the template, what we should
Yeah.
done.
Right.
Start divvying up the rest.
Right. Because like maybe kind of like coming up with like a report structure where each section has a paragraph that you have to limit it to like a certain number of words, or like 2 paragraphs tops, and that kind of to hone it down to the essentials.
Would it help to have like a rubric for episodes where like it starts out like this, that and it goes into this portion, and then each episode kind of functions more or less sort of the same, or it doesn't have to be hard and fast rule.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking, wanting to flesh out is like, we start out, we have kind of, like we usually do now, we have the context, like why are these important, these items important, history, when exactly they were first invented, and then we have like a research element where we meet up with an expert, and they teach me whatever skills I might need, and then with the prototyping, like, well, it also should be some section where it's like, this is the end goal of the episode. I make these things. To make these, I need these materials and these tools, and I've already made X, Y, and Z. This one, and then the prototyping stage we talked about, where to try out different things, show them off, and then the build. I think something with efficiency with that is going to be figuring out like what are the key shots we need to get, and then what are the parts need to time lapse, so we don't have so much footage to go through. And then we'll need to figure out like some sort of trial at the end of like, especially if it's a building block. If I'm smelting copper or bronze, testing the quality of it.
Can we come up with like a template on the things we need for each item research-wise? And in doing so, we can like sort of discern what the quality test for each item is as well. So like, what's the quality? Like the quality test for glass and quality test for copper can be vastly different. But if it's within a template of a quality test, is also a thing we have to reach and quantify. That would make it
Is there something you want to work on now? Is what the rough episode structure should be?
I think that's like history and context would probably be first.
Yeah.
Learn what it is, why it was made, what it was made. And moving to like materials and how materials were sourced or refined.
Well, so we know this stuff even before we get into it.
No, this is what you research.
That's what the video would start with.
This is what the video would start with.
Well, it would start with the intro bumper, and then probably like a recap of the episode, like a 20-second.
Right.
This is going to be this, and then a lot of time lapse, some lab shots.
Right.
So
we started off with history and context of the item.
Yeah. Why are we going to make this?
Why are we going to make it? So we're basically laying out the evolution of it before we even do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And say, so now we're going to show you how it was done.
we jump right into Expertville or like traveling or whatever sourcing information or materials would be at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I think the experts are going to be the times are going to be valuable time used up unless we really need to use them.
Yeah, I guess the thing to figure out is right, condense expert interviews so we have to cut so much out of them. It's slow the video down.
Yeah.
I would feel logically experts should be up there right away, but like production wise or like pacing wise, putting them a little later might be better.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I guess, because we're changing it a little bit different in that typically now it's you're coming in as a blank slate, being like, I don't know anything. I'm gonna go and discover in the video. But it seems like now maybe this could be helpful if we kind of come at this with like, you know what, we've already done a lot of research. We're like right into the video. We already have a lot of research. We're just gonna kind of play it out for you. Does that make sense? Like, because that could just help fast track a lot of that.
Yeah.
Because that's what it sounds like the history context would happen, would help with.
Would it work to maybe like however we format the footage of the actual builds, maybe at key points that we have like footage, like you take the interview with the expert, obviously like and probably hit on the key points that it needs to be this shape or made out of this. When we get to that part of the build, we cut to them and then we go back to the builds where we're like following their instructions. We went this direction. If that would work, or if that would break it up and make the pacing weird.
I feel that's something a little difficult to plan for. This might not work for every video. I feel like we've maybe done that with some of our videos and try to intercut it. Usually that's a good way to make dry things like that, which seems cutting between intermixing it. I was trying to get Joey to figure out a way to do that with like a tin video. So yeah, but I think it's if we can plan for that, that's good, but I don't know if that's always gonna work out.
Don't make it like a hard like base rule of the
We do with the flute video. Yeah, as far as like pacing goes. it felt
Right.
like-
One and something that we did on the Sweat Equity show was because the show was homemakers like doing their own projects, and that we would in the midst of that cut away to realtors talking about like how doing a project like this could build equity, and so it was nice because it was even though there was completely disembodied from it, it did help kind of accentuate or they helped support what was happening in the other. So that could be possibly a tactic too with these experts where they're basically just talking. They're kind of like, the voices kind of supporting what you're doing instead of you being on camera with them.
Yeah. We need to flesh out a few videos to see how well that might work.
Yeah.
The expert might be a part of the history context of an item. How much we want them to explain it ourselves.
That's what I was thinking, because then it's also like verify your research. Because like otherwise, some people might be like, you're just finding stuff off the internet. A lot of stuff is wrong. So putting in the voice of an expert can be. So those people who are like, well, why don't you do it this historical way? And then this is kind of our reason why. So we talked to this expert who gave us this advice.
Yeah, that's why we use experts now.
Yeah.
I think so with the materials and tools, it's kind of like we're just making a laundry list of. So these are what we need.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And so once you source them, then we have to then apply them. So then real build would start at that point, you think? Or like tests or
There's the prototyping phase.
The prototyping.
That happens off camera, right?
Yeah. For the most part, it's something that you like grab a few shots with your cell phone and you do it.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be like high.
or you can use those GoPros.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 inches.
That can be good use as time lapse too.
Here, would that be weird?
No.
This is weird. Otherwise, you're just jumping into prototyping without outlining the parameters for why you're using certain materials or certain tools because it applies later because it has to fit into the historical context of the materials and tools.
Yeah.
But also, they won't always prototype won't follow always the same tools or even the materials. So
Yeah.
outlining them, then jumping to prototype, and jumping back to the final big build that has to follow those materials and tools.
Right. And there's also like you don't have to prototype everything.
Yeah.
You probably would want to then say you could identify what pieces we need to prototype.
I think like it should be kind of like a report. Like, okay, so I prototyped this.
Right.
I found out this, and this are things that are going to be issues.
Just use a different marker. That's
No.
please.
This is a little while.
Erase everything. Start over. It's all the right color. Whatever you want left.
I guess I need to check the material again. But opposite again.
I can grab you a black one. It's the secret one.
Do you have a secret one?
Yeah, I just want to use the board and manuals. Never mind, it's not there. It's gone forever. Your marker's gone for everything.
My marker?
Your marker?
No.
I know.
Bummer.
Looking for the actual.
It was the last one ever.
Sure.
Flip a coin.
To gather materials that'll be before. Needed. It'll only be occasionally we need it. Then
New language.
Your language is just based on us deciphering Andy's
Yeah. That'd be good.
code breakers. We should do a code.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So the
I always wanted to make a language with snowflakes.
And then then it would be the test, wouldn't it?
the final reveal. Recap. Yes.
What's in between main build and final
I'm not sure if that should be something. That's like the heart of the video.
review?
That might be more of a.
So there's gonna be, I mean, it's going to be in there. So
Yeah.
I don't know if like you can't really write it in,
Oh.
but that's gonna be it. Part of it is going back and
Just there's more people and then they left.
Okay.
Miss had friends for a
Making
minute.
it better.
They left her.
Improving on it?
yeah, improving it.
I think we're still gonna want to like divide it out of like the sailboat. Like I'm gonna make the actual boat body. I'm gonna have an Elise build the loom, and then
Sales.
either the rope or have a third person, something like that. Where I think the tribe aspect can be utilized to divide the labor a little bit better.
Oh, you're okay, Liz.
Was your improvements on there? And then like glider shots too at the bottom.
That'd be a part of the final review.
Well, I mean, somewhere. Tests. Yeah, recap, product shot, or glider shot, or something like that. Maybe we should do that for like a hero shot.
I like glamour shot. I want like
Orange shots.
Glider shots, yeah.
bad fun people.
No, I mean,
after main build, you cut some main build so it's successful, and then after the main build, that's when you kind of go like, these are the issues I ran into, and here's how I solved them. That way, you're not intercutting the main build with like, oh, then that didn't work, and then that didn't work, and then that didn't work.
Right.
You're just showing eventually I got here, and then you kind of recap on the issues up to it, and then you do the final reveal. So it's like, and here's how great it turned out.
Good.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes we maybe lose a little momentum when we like stop at every point and like, here's what happened. Here's what I'm gonna do now.
Mhm.
Or
Yeah.
maybe we start doing like the main build is like pure montage. Montage of some glamour shots, hero shots, time lapse, and then any failures, highlight them, and then the fixing and then talk about it at the end.
I think the montage works well when you have like either voiceover or you just shoot like one line quick in there, or you're talking to the camera. Like how earlier I mentioned, if Taylor's going to do the guitar, you just say like, all right, I'm going to turn the guitar up, we're going to see what you do with these low action strings that are over the guitar. Cut to like just a montage of doing that, or you could even.
So you think breaking up the montage at a few points?
Might help. I mean, I don't think it takes a lot to drop it in or to shoot it.
Yeah.
You're at the camera shooting the montage. You just tilt it up to give you saying the one thing. Grab
Yeah.
mic. You know.
Liz says, be sure to show any particularly fantastic failures. People seem to like those.
Oh yeah.
That's like when things explode.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I agree with what Daniel said. Like, it's not. That's most of the content I watch. Being sewing vlogs, it's like a speed up time lapse of like the progress, and then they'll stop it and be like, "Here's the next part. I'm gonna sew this to this, and pin that, and that." And then they just go right back to what they're doing.
Mhm.
So, and afterwards they'll like then be like, "Well, then I had real trouble with this theme, but here's how it ended up." It's a pretty good format, I think, for that.
Well, I guess that's the, maybe it could be helpful to start figuring out what is the hero content of this, because the main build, in some ways the main build is kind of hero, but it sounds as though maybe the lead up to the main build is more of the hero here, so that the main build can be a montage, because the main, it's kind of like, figuring out the arc, where the main build kind of maybe the pinnacle, and then but this is more interesting. Like, this is more which is time.
I feel like it's like something that's very different in the video. Like, we're making something that's not super complex, but we need to make a lot of the tools and stuff or gather materials that are unique for it. Very good to have a base. I think, a few ideas and figuring out how many minutes we spend on each thing will be important for stuff.
I think depending on what we're making, the test can almost end up being a big portion, or like a very interesting, like pottery wheel. Like, built to that probably won't be too much, but then you get to see if you can actually throw a pot on it.
Yeah.
That would take more time. I would think, versus like also like versus like something like bronze smelting. Once you pour the thing, like, you'll have a really nice like sword or whatever, but it's probably more like getting the forge up and running that's more interesting there.
Yeah.
I would say. For the foundry.
Yeah. Sure.
The outro tease for the next video.
Yeah. So like, oh sweet, I made bronze. So next up, I can start using that in our next video on making a wheel and a chariot. Get a book for that. And the whole. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see that and ring the bell.
Yeah.
They wear the T-shirt, stuff like we were talking about earlier. And then there would be the outro. What were we calling it earlier?
End screen.
End screen.
Could either be built into the outro or separate.
The outro key should be unique each time.
Yeah.
Like, not like totally obviously in terms of format,
Mhm.
but like it's you recording something totally different and then pointing out Patreons and stuff like that, just to remind people that it's social media.
And then you have the end screen that has like the
Like the top part.
Yeah.
If you like,
the links. And
yeah.
stuff.
Because I think it should be repeated at the end of each video. We have merch. We have this. We have that.
Yeah.
'Cause it's-
Supporters here.
Yeah.
Follow our Instagram
Mhm.
for like more updates.
Yeah. Even just saying it, even though like it's there and it's the links at the end, having that last bit makes a huge difference.
Yeah. It could be worth like trying to come up with funny little skits at the end.
Yeah.
Sell merch. I know. I don't know if you see the digital Corridor Digital did their own Boston Dynamic spoof with the robots where you kick them, except the robot fights back. But then at the end, they like showed like the green screen footage of a guy in the morph suit walking around, and something with the merchandise. Like he was wearing
Yeah.
merchandise while he did it, or
Mhm.
doing it like super corny. And it's really funny.
Yeah. You should do stuff like that.
We now have 2 people in the chat.
What?
Yeah, Liz says people also like to see bloopers at the very end after the outro.
Mm-hmm.
Stamas? S-T-A-M.
Stamus.
Stamus. Stamus says, okay, what did I miss? Just got home. Sound quality is horrible.
Sorry.
And then they just said hey to each other.
So sound quality is horrible.
Yeah.
Should have set up a better mic, I guess.
Yeah. Sorry.
And then
We should definitely do these more often.
S-I-L-V-I-U.
What we're doing.
Yeah. Huh?
S-I-L-V-I-U. Silvio?
Oh yeah, I know.
Video is pretty bad too.
The Simpsons.
Oh.
Yeah. I know. I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sam knows who you are.
Do
Yeah.
we want to keep doing the
So yeah, sound and video is
ending
horrible.
Video kind
Thanks for sticking with us anyway.
those little pieces at the end.
Yeah, and that
We
could
don't have
probably
to.
pass.
But like, want to, I think it's fun to do, but it's not necessary. Like,
Yeah.
but I read it and then
Would you call it something different than glamour shots or the test? For those kind of.
I think glamour shot, like the classic, like when I think of glamour shots, I think of like the Dolly move we did on the hourglass,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Or
Well, right.
where it's like, this is really just more like, you're talking about it, you're
Right.
revealing it, and then it's like shot really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then the flute thing was totally different. That was sort of one-off. Kind of,
Yeah.
sort of like the intro for the murder video,
Yeah.
where it's kind of its own standalone
Right.
thing, and it seemed like people liked it. I don't know.
Yeah. It's probably kind of like an ending skit.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. I don't think they don't necessarily have to be comedy driven, because some people are kind of, I think, wondering like, when did this become like a comedy channel? If it saw some comments like that. So maybe that's not a necessary component. But
Well, yeah.
I think it's something you keep there. Like,
Yeah.
if it fits.
it doesn't take too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
Dragon Glass video, I think added something in it. It's like, what, 2 hours to shoot it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be good too. I mean, I think the more we can kind of pre-plan all this stuff and allocate that to people, so that it's so that like if you're producing or you're doing the main series with Andy, that you're not falling down with that stuff.
What's up?
Like the glamour shots or the comedy thing. I mean, because it's just like, because inevitably we keep running into, that's when we do that last minute, and it's that's great, but it's like then you're what happens if you get really busy, or I think that trying to break this up to allocate to different people, I think can be helpful.
I do want to shoot the glamour shots.
then you got it.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you know,
I hear you. You want to divide and conquer.
yeah, totally. Yeah. Now with the gathering, is that how much traveling is going to be required for the gathering?
I think for the most part, it's gonna be pretty limited, unless there's just gonna be a few episodes that are more centric on that. And basically, we start making clay stuff, going to where it's clay, digging it up and processing it. There's lead. We get a trip to Illinois or whatever, where we can hopefully get access to some lead ore, and then process it. And brass, some sort of zinc ore we can use. But that's like there's cool 4 videos out of like 20.
Yeah, and I can do Wednesday through Friday pretty much every week. I can get 3 to travel a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, and some immediate travel things will be for the native copper. Whether we want to go to the North Shore, where it might be more rare, or we're going to go to the Upper Peninsula, where I think it's just everywhere. But I don't know how difficult each one is, so it might be good to find someone who can help us, who can guide us with that. Yeah. Oh, and the lead could go later. That's just like one of the first metals we processed. But I don't know what we make out of it for quite a while. Just wanted to make writing tablet lead right on blackboard or something. You guys will use it for first. I think the only thing that comes to mind that needs that is
Pass around the microphone. Pass around the microphone next live stream.
Okay.
You need to pass around the microphone next live stream.
I like mic everyone.
Yeah.
Apparently sound and visuals are awful. And you are particularly muffled, but also they were just asking if we were planning on to cover large projects in one big video or smaller episodes. Stamos says, I'm okay with either. Liz says, I don't think they decided either. Maybe splitting things into themes and doing small episodes on that topic. So it'd be like, I don't know. You describe that.
Yeah, I'd say right now we're kind of planning more towards the larger video and then seeing how that plays out. And as we get to more complex things, we may decide we need to break it up. But play it by ear, I guess.
Andy's voice is unintelligible here.
You have that little microphone.
Stamos says, larger is okay.
Do you have the microphone for the test cam? The 8-inch microphone for that?
You can plug it into the laptop.
Oh, yeah, you might be best, I think.
Oh,
Boy.
Big boy.
big boy.
Addressing audio concerns now. We're going to try a mic. The table. I'm leaning forward so I think so.
I mean, Mike's on the end.
Well,
Loud.
I am loud. That's one thing I have.
Oh, shit. Oh my god.
Clamp it to the table here, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Is it clamp?
Yeah.
Okay. One second. Oh god. Yes.
It did cross my mind to do this, but that was when we had trouble getting the live video to even work, so it became a priority.
It's true.
Alrighty.
Does this
To the table. Ah.
Did it change? I don't know if you need to change the work.
Cool, I can hear you.
really?
That's what Stamos said. Stamos can hear us.
Is it better?
Yeah, you just can hear someone saying, oh no.
China.
Um,
This is better.
I got
Better?
that one from
Yes.
Joey.
Cool.
That's Joey's mic check.
Oh, I'm all for reaching a larger audience. Wish we could support y'all on our own, but we can't all be Bill Gates.
Oh,
Maybe
thanks.
what?
Can't all be Bill Gates.
Oh.
Dobby's here. Dobby, join the chat. She's so good.
She had to see a doctor today.
Gonna eat a pill today.
All right, now we got the audio working.
Start over.
Two.
Are people who just joined us confused what any of this is? Should I go over stuff again?
This is Kitty and Samus is my dog's interested. They kind of talked amongst themselves. Like, let's kind of caught Samus up. That we're just like going over formats for future videos.
Mhm.
You might go over again that it's trying to follow a through line of like time and like the idea of the main video versus the pool video.
Okay. Yeah, if you didn't see it in the comments, I put the link to our little timeline, which is kind of just made a list of every idea we could think of, and then roughly when in history it was invented, and then put them out into a kind of a timeline and selected ones that we're pretty sure we wanted to do, and they have ones that maybe would do. That's kind of what I'm calling the pool. And it's just kind of the idea that we go through the kind of primary chain, and then as we go, things in the pool kind of open up, and we can do any of those at a later time. So the ones in the primary chain are ones that I consider crucial to like a specific evolution of technology or are just interesting. And then as we go further down, we have options. So if we want to like, if one of these videos is taking longer, we can like, let's do an episode on a fishing line or rod, because then we're roughly in time when that was invented, or we're past it. And then so we're basically going to spend Stone Age, work our way to the Iron Age, and our first goldstone is Iron Age. Second one is steam engine. We're trying to have an industrial revolution. And this is going to be kind of our main content. And then we're also going to kind of upgrade our upcycle concept we did before, where this is all about building civilization from the ground up, from scratch. The upcycle is going to be about kind of immediately following the collapse, when there's plenty of materials that you don't need to make from scratch, and kind of exploring what you can make from trash.
One thing I learned in my own hobby projects is don't bite more than you can chew. I tend to start many projects and only finish a few. Don't do that. Statements.
I feel like that's just kind of my MO since the beginning, just to bite off as big as I can and then push myself until I finish. But yeah, it's definitely raising things to a new level. But the hope is that by starting at the top, we can work on more simple things and kind of lay the foundation. So before I start diving into making cameras and computers and stuff.
Well, and you said that this is also a way where we can structure this in a way that it doesn't add to burnout as well, right? Because like, I think I brought that up before, where like, is there a way? I mean, I guess unfortunately we are kind of leading in this direction where we are trying to. I mean, is there a way to do this where if we hit a roadblock, we can then break it into multiple videos, or do we make basically how do we ensure that we be successful and get these conclusions at a time on a schedule?
Well, I think a lot of that is going to be the prototyping. We haven't had the time to invest that.
Right.
And then building up from the ground up. That
Okay.
so we suddenly don't need a tool that we don't have.
Right.
We've already need it or where we need it. It tends to
I
be
see.
half of our struggle is not having the right tool at the right time. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping we're building tools and
Right.
building a growing collection that'll be less of an issue, hopefully.
Right.
I think hopefully we can finally get to the point. I feel like we've been wanting to do this for years, of having kind of a backlog. So then if a project takes too long, then we can pull up one of these side projects from the pool that might be easier to do, and do that to kind of fill in the gap in the schedule. And yeah,
Okay.
and I think as we get more complex, it'll depend on the situation, but I think if we run into failures that could be made into its own video, I think right now a lot of our failures are kind of artificial. It's just like the tool's not going to be here in time, and that doesn't make an interesting conclusion. But with this formula, hopefully it'll be more like, I didn't realize there's a whole other tool you need to invent before you could do this, and then kind of going off on that tangent as one video, and then pick it up in the next video once you build that tool.
Okay. So the prototyping can really fast track or take away all that fat that we kind of generate just by trying to capture everything real time.
Yeah, I think so. And that's going to be a major saving component. It's mostly a matter of seeing like what are potential issues, so that you're prototyping those areas. It would be an issue of sometimes not predicting it. Like you do a prototype and it works out fine, then you do it for the actual video, then new issues that you didn't account for in your trial come up, and then it's the same issue.
Damus asks, how's bean beer coming along?
It's been installed. And hope we get it going soon. Something I didn't mention is we have a few videos kind of more that we're going to wrap up hopefully by mid-July. Bean beer is one of them. We have the t-shirt that's been dragging on to reinvent our loom. It'll be easier once we have our industrial revolution and we can start automating it. What else do we have? Your guitar,
And
that kind of fit within the new format, but we do have the show it off.
Yeah. Sneak peek.
This is already made. Just gotta film the conclusion. This is a guitar, electric guitar made from sounds beautiful.
That too right now.
Yeah, not hold the tuning too well, so I'm gonna put on tuning it a little bit and then film kind of a wrap up music video ending, and so it's a lot of fun. It's coming out the last day of June. Which Science Guy has been working on behind the scenes.
Also heard for a while about the camera, the steampunk guitar that gave you sunburn. So asking about the camera, and then he was just like, "Oh, that's the guitar that gave you sunburn."
So the downside with this is it's kind of gonna push off the camera project, because it's, we need to reinvent the wheel, literally. But we should be able to do it better. So I feel like the camera project is what kind of brought up the most complaints about using modern tools, and kind of where we're running into issues of it taking longer, even though we're using modern tools. Where if they just made the tools that they were using in the 17th, 18th centuries, it would have gone a lot quicker. So that's good. That was a main catalyst for wanting to take it this new direction. And unfortunately, that's going to kind of push things back. But interestingly, we kind of touched on this, is if nitric acid was invented around 800 AD, that's kind of like the main component that's holding us back from making film. You need that to dissolve the silver to make silver nitrate, and then you react that with iodine, and you might be able to do it fairly early in history. Could be interesting. Could you invent a camera in the first, or Yeah.
Stian says, okay, got it.
Cool.
Keep saying scissors and comb, and I'm like, I want to give Andy a haircut. Maybe we can trim the wig. Since the wig's back, I don't know, the wig's after. So once we yeah, no, it's after. The wig. Gotta sacrifice your hair. Gotta grow it out.
All right.
Is June
I have a ring. I have like gemstones.
right?
Oh, ring is 2,500 BC in the pool. And, I feel like I have seen it.
Yeah.
1280.
Okay. That's way later.
Mm-hmm. So what's left?
I'm gonna do it off.
Yeah. I have to do this.
Make it.
Anybody else? Any questions, thoughts?
I think we should, in the next couple of weeks, sort of flesh out any ideas that are missing by era.
Yeah.
Started a little bit. Just sometimes find it online. If you have like hand axe or do hand axe.
I have the flint and axe.
Do the killer frisbee. They're saying that you could use it as like a, or they use the hand axe like a frisbee to stun animals.
Oh,
Really?
They pound them. And then raft.
Stamus has something to say. Quite sweet. Stamus says, well, thank you. This was a meeting that sucked the least all day.
Next one. Ebola. Not Ebola.
I was like, where are you going, Dan?
It's like a rope with two rocks attached to it to
yeah.
trip animals.
That's how we're going to take the deer out.
Yeah. That was like religion was invented maybe 130,000 years ago.
Religion?
Liz says, I concur. This was the meeting that sucked the least today.
Religion would be interesting because I was just watching a video yesterday on how storytelling plays such a huge role in cultures across the world.
Mhm.
And so, I forget the name of the guy, but he wrote a book on the monomyth, which is how like all modern religions have very similar arc structures.
Mhm.
And a lot of these religions predate each other, so it makes sense that there's only a certain number of stories that can be told. I don't know. It seems as like hot water for some people that are religious, but I think that you could explore those ideas potentially, and how there's like, I think they say there's about 7 basic plots that exist, and then most all the plots that exist, all stories fall within either one or several of those categories. And there's always non-conventional storytelling as well, but religion is largely cultural heritage that's based on stories of their gods.
Religion.
Probably get invented, but you could probably in theory invent something.
Well, that's what, I mean, Joseph Campbell, you were right, Joseph Campbell.
I don't know if I have. He's a philosopher, right?
And builds a cult. Religion.
No, he wrote a book called The Hero with 1,000 Faces, which is
Yeah, that was
about.
It's true. You start with religion, then you go to taxes.
Yeah, I think that was referenced in the video I was watching.
Yeah. So the archetypes and the hero's journey and
Yeah.
that I think we follow more.
Oh,
Siddhartha,
Yeah.
to Jesus,
Call to action, and then you meet the goddess,
and then
you
Star Wars.
and then you link it back, and all of a sudden you're two worlds at once. The world that you originally existed, but now you have the skills to be able to tackle those obstacles. Yeah, exactly. So that kind of stuff is those are a lot of tropes there.
L.
that
Ron
could
Hubbard
potentially-
created his own religion.
Yeah, I mean it's all
Space
interconnected.
aliens, Tom Cruise.
There's that cult in Jandassen, remember?
That's right.
Go visit them. It's called Ekankar, if anyone. The Temple of Ek.
How did you go about inventing your
Well, that thing with that guy is that he just repackages other belief systems, which is, I guess, to draw full circle, that's essentially what most religions have been, is a repackaging of those core human stories that are prevalent across all, the globe. So that could be, I don't know, maybe not, maybe it's an interesting type of build.
I mean,
Something like that.
if you get to like a book and you build a Bible, or like if you build like a press, because like
Yeah.
the whole thing with religion is it's spreading that in these books.
Yeah, this is one thing with like abstract concepts I have on here is that if you can connect it with like, an actual object we built, we have the dimension of that, and then the abacus, or dimension of astronomy and
Astrology.
I don't remember what stuff like that. Like a physical object you can build, I think we keep it kind of consistent. So I don't know what that would mean for religion.
I'll probably go with like language.
Yeah.
Like you were saying books, but I'm like, it was still like
Thing.
you had like you followed some version of like mostly Catholicism, but like you weren't allowed to read the Bible.
Yeah.
But everyone was Catholic.
Mhm.
They didn't have the book because they weren't allowed to have it, but it still was everywhere. But the books
Like-
definitely spread it.
Yeah, I guess like then it would be through art. Like you can do like stained glass windows.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty iconic. Like
Stained
storytelling.
glass actually would be, that would be good for religion because that was mainly how people understood it was art in the cathedrals because they couldn't read, most peasants. Like you didn't know the words, you just knew the pictures of the stories and knew the stories because your computer would tell you them. That's one way to think of it. Oh,
That would be a good one, actually. Stained glass.
yeah. Liz says, I worry that the controversy on covering anything about religion may not be worth it. Stamus seconds that. People are touchy. I don't care. Religion is history, but you could get flack. Liz says, yeah. But I think stained glass would be a pretty safe corner to take if you wanted to even just broach. Like, this is really tied to certain religions.
You can also just say it's a storytelling tool.
Yeah.
Most people use like just push the religious portion aside because
Yeah.
it was a way of storytelling.
Mhm.
It's like acting.
Oh, printing press.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
on there.
That's on the list.
On the list, where is it at? So, give her a date.
1939.
1439.
Actually, from the segment we will start now.
That'd be cool. Have to make all the little letters.
Yep.
Can't use
Or a
your
tin.
hair.
Until you get to that thing.
The
It look the same.
same.
What?
Can't.
Yeah, I wonder if we can. I mean, because I mean, the research I think is definitely will be helpful, but also just figuring out how the workflow with this will be really important. I feel like with the first 2 episodes, otherwise, I fear that this is going to constantly be falling on you to kind of like be turning this into something actionable, so I'm just wondering because we're moving out of the ideation phase now into like an action phase. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That it might be helpful for you to kind of give us tasks to do. Otherwise, we might end up just, I don't know. I mean, I feel like one of the things I'm thinking of is like history and context and the materials and tools could end up probably being an animation. And so like that could be something that somebody could just take and run with it. Like, do the research, write a script, and then either, send that out to be edited or do it themselves.
Yeah.
And then the prototyping stuff, somebody can probably start on that right away.
And something that would be a little different for our workflow would be starting with the experts and then talking to them over the phone or email and like getting the answers from them. So often I feel like we meet with an expert and that changes everything.
Yeah.
Or just takes it in a slightly different direction or whatever. That might be something worth experimenting with. Is one of the first steps, just like who's the expert we go talk to for this video, who are several options, and then just like reaching out, just like, hey, we want to do this video in 6 months. What are your thoughts on it?
It's a good idea. So like maybe Gilbert could be the expert on this one. This one acts.
I'll have the expert I talked to. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Stephan said, and the stream crashed for me. You could try bookending the expert. Start with a call for advice, finish the build, and then get their opinion on the results.
Yeah, the ideas that float around.
Is that you have to catch the expert twice, and it's hard to do that.
Yeah, that we have like a collection of experts, so there's a lot of stuff here. We got stuff from propane tank from Michael. We got Peter's t-shirts. We got gloves from bug spray guy.
Yeah.
It's hard enough to get them once. Get them the second time tends to be pretty difficult.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe that would just be a good first step for everybody. Is just have a list all these episodes and start finding experts to connect with and shoot an email or whatever.
Yeah.
And if we are keeping the expert segments shorter, we could even open it up to being through Skype and the experts around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one of those things that it seems like when we did the murder video, the expert segment was like what pushing, it was over 3 minutes for sure.
Yeah.
They started off the video, and I feel like the pacing gets kind of weird at that point. Then it's like, people have clicked on this to see you create it. More so, I think, than like where it came from.
Well, and that's why like we can maybe think about format, whether we make the expert portions something that where it's like more like sound bites, where we just pull sound bites and have them kind of just come in interspersed, because like to have Andy come and go to their place and be on camera with them ultimately does take time, because you have to like establish the context in the shot, kind of lead into who they are, whereas if we treat it, we can kind of come up with like a format for it where then it can be like we just have these experts that come in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like on the news when they'll be like, all right, now we're talking to this person in lower third, says their name, what their title is.
Right.
Something like that. Potentially, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe not in that format, but that idea.
Right.
Where you just kind of gloss over and they're the talking head that has all the wisdom.
Yeah.
So then we just kind of
Yeah. I think that's always an issue we struggle with is that people want to generally see something to build, not a talking head. So, but we also want to start with that to establish the rest of the video. So like how to handle that in a quick way, where we aren't shooting 2-hour interview for a minute.
maybe you just have like a time frame on it. It's going to be a minute and a half long or 2 minutes long. Max.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
2 minutes on
Mm-hmm.
screen is a long time.
Yeah. I think that might be a plus for talking to expert first,
Right.
because then they can shape the questions. You talk to them, you get an idea of
Mm-hmm.
what the key points from them would be, and then they talk on that. So I feel like when we try and do that, we like do our research and like approach them like, okay, here's the 4 questions I should ask, and then they aren't really in that mindset, so they're all like getting really long.
Yeah, they'll,
Right. Well, not technically true. There's a lot of caveats to that. Let me talk about it for 30 minutes.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's I have with the bow and arrow. Or I forgot his name. Over at the bow place 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he's like, we talked for like 2 hours. We roll everything. So then we got to, and we were just walking around with him, and he's talking about like robots and
Right.
the whole thing,
Yeah.
Kind of
Robots.
approaching like what's the 3 to 5 most essential things I need to know about this, and then give me another 5 that like I should know, and maybe that would be enough and not too much to parse through.
Yeah.
It's also more respectful to their time as well. Because if
Yeah.
you're just going to be using like a couple minutes of it tops,
Right.
to be with them for whole afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're getting caught up in the like minutia of it while they're trying to tell you, they might miss something that's like really critical, like because they just got so lost in the details, and they're like, "Oh, I forgot to tell you,
Right.
definitely need to put this in there. Or don't do this."
Yeah. Maybe like a phone call to screen them beforehand could really help a lot.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of the scope of the trajectory of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Yeah.
this is what we're going to be doing. Is there anything useful for just that?
Mm-hmm.
I do think there's a nice component to you being there with them at some point.
Yeah.
If it's not feasible, then it's not.
Yeah.
But if they're like across town, maybe you drive over there.
Yeah. That's probably the priority is who can we find locally,
Yeah.
and then if there's nobody there, then we look locally.
Yeah. And then if the expert in the materials and tools are going to be materials and tools needed is going to be animated. Is that the idea, or is that just a thought?
Or it could be just recap, or see what it is, but it want to be like, to make these things, we need these materials and these tools.
Yeah.
There's a chance to kind of recap. Previously, I've already collected clay, and previously I made this tool and this tool, but I still need to make this tool, so let's make that first.
I know that Curtis got.
Yeah.
Curtis got. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Their channel is huge and it's all animations.
Yeah.
They're real simple. They're always on brand. They have a set of characters.
Can we do
Oh,
this?
Davis says, "Good night, all. Gotta wake up in 7 hours.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night."
You know what's Curtis got?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I know.
Curtis got.
I think we should do that. Just do the whole animate the whole thing.
Well, I mean, they have their stuff is like really fun to watch. It's
Oh,
basically-
yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's they're But that don't confuse that with being easy though, because they always say at the beginning or at the end of their episode that this took us like hundreds of hours of research and animation to be able to put this together. So if you think that's a good thing,
But it's dependable. Like they have a formula.
for the team of animators.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's what ultimately what we need to do is be able to figure out how to, template this so we know exactly how to approach every video,
Yeah.
rather than trying to learn or discover it because I think that's what we, that's the only way I can see this working and not, running into scope creep.
Scope creep. Also, you forgot the sponsor spot. That's after. I think that should be like before the final reveal.
Yeah.
But that you could run into the issue there where people are like, oh, it's right before the reveal. That's going to happen before, but then you want to click past it. Because at that point, if you've been watching, you're like, what's getting to the
Right.
thing here.
That's like the commercial break right before
Yeah.
Yeah.
The finale.
finale.
You can also do like a skit with it for the sponsor at the end, which a lot of other YouTubers do.
Yeah. It would be nice. There's a lot of YouTubers that big ones that like do ads that are only at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we had that kind of leverage.
I've seen ones where it's completely just audio and they just talk over their time montage. But I don't know if we want to do that.
No, we can't. I mean,
They want visuals.
well, we just don't have that leverage
Oh.
yet. I mean, that's just the whole thing. It's like the bigger channels have the leverage to do that, just because they have the numbers,
Okay.
and we don't yet.
Liz says, I like the idea of animation, but as a non-artist, I bet it's a lot of work. It is. It's so much work.
It is,
I'm a 3D animation major, and I want
but
to
in some ways, it actually is easier and more time saving than trying to shoot it in real time live. Because really, this section probably should be completed in 3 minutes of runtime.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, totally. And the intro bumper is already like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. That gives you like really, and then after the intro bumper, you need to also do the episode recap. Like you need to say like, this is what we're gonna cover in this episode, and that lasts like 20 seconds. So then we're
Right.
already like 40 seconds in, so then you really just have like 2 minutes.
Do you
Yeah.
need to have a recap, or could you just have like a blooper or something in the beginning just to catch the audience's attention, and then a voiceover that leads into the historical context?
I feel like it helps grab people to the summary,
Yeah.
giving that tease. The most crucial is the first couple seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the click away is it's like the bane of our
Yeah.
existence.
For
Yeah.
any
We can't have that.
Yeah.
So that's part of the reason why I was also, keep going back to the glamour shots and like the action shots.
Mhm.
So like if you're gonna do the flamethrower on the electric guitar, well that has to be in the music video. Like a couple shots from that stuff needs to be in there, as well as like all the the highs and the lows, the build in like 15 seconds, and that's like the hook. It's important.
right.
It would be a good strategy. Just thinking, like, what's the hook of this episode? How do we tease that in the first 2 seconds?
2 seconds might be asking a lot.
That would just be
Not
like
really 2 seconds.
trying to think of a weird question. Like say the sandwich video if you didn't already have it like out. Like be like, guess how long it took me to make this sandwich this long, or like this much money, and then you go in and be like, keep watching to find out why.
Yeah. Then, like for instance, with the Adiladdle, you could say something like, "How did so many people kill woolly mammoth?"
You'll be like, I'm gonna kill a woolly mammoth with
In
this
5, 4,
stick,
3, 2, 1. Yeah.
and like we'll be like, how?
Mm-hmm.
And then you answer the question in the episode. So all the time, this is very texting, dude, with the shade balls. thing. It was like,
Yeah.
what? Because he was gonna say, wasn't it? Why are there shade balls on this
It was like
lake?
some dumb pun with throwing shade
Balls.
shade balls.
They're literally called shade balls.
Yeah.
But then whoever else it was said you should frame it as a question, so that it needs to be answered. You need to click on it so that you can answer the question.
Mhm.
That's how he does all that stuff, right?
Yeah, that's not a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Because then it's like one thing to say atlatl. Nobody knows what the hell that is.
How to make a species extinct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it, though.
So yeah,
Bring off list.
basically the kind of questions you would have to think of to introduce it as a middle school paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that hook.
I think that there's this form in journalism I can ask a friend about.
Liz says yes. What we need is more puns.
What were you saying?
One of my friends went to Columbia and he writes for a couple different publications, and they form it in a similar way. They have a hook title, then the first paragraph is like the setup. The paragraph is a little bit more about that, and then they break into the actual story. So I can maybe try to ask him. I'm sure it's well documented for journalism procedures. This is kind of like that. It's investigative journalism and documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The whole above the fold and below the fold thing.
I'm not sure of that terminology.
There might be more of the layout of newspapers. And it translates sometimes to web pages. I've heard that. And whatever shows up right away, that's the most important stuff. And then secondary is what's below. So
Yeah.
stacking the most interesting stuff at the beginning.
At the top, so you pick it up, you're already in.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And I guess, let me throw this out here because I think part of what what the challenge is that we're trying to do something that's very, big and epic, but then also fit into a platform that is very, that is complicated and also variable that we don't have any control over. But perhaps if we also use some of the other platforms at our disposal, which is, I guess, one exciting thing about nowadays is that we're living kind of in a nonlinear world where we're accessing information from multiple platforms. So we could potentially even use maybe that's where we can have some of these breakaways, such as if we get bogged down like in the history of something, we could have that on a different like a wiki or something where people can go and research or find out about that, or we could just touch on it and say, we did all this research, or we did all this, there's all this information. We're not going to talk about it here, but if you want to, find that out, because I'm just thinking like, because it's like if we're ultimately going to be, I feel like we're always going to be cutting out tons of wonderful stuff out of the video here, but if we also know that, well, this footage is worth getting because we could repurpose it for this other platform, or we could use it for like this side tangent. Maybe that could be helpful.
Yeah. I'm hoping we get more efficient in choosing what we shoot so we don't have as much waste.
Okay.
But I think at the very least, starting a secondary channel would be good. That'd be a good spot for anything that isn't quite up to tier, but be secondary.
Yeah.
Mentioned before, I was watching Corridor Digital. They have like a side channel where it's just the staff there, and they started doing a series where they just like talk about visual effects in modern movies and watched a bunch of them. And that's just a secondary channel.
Yeah, I saw that too, actually. I think that was probably similar viewing habits, or that's been pushed a lot.
Yeah.
There's like top 10 worst CGI movies and movies or stuff like that.
Yeah.
YouTube lists.
Oh yeah, top 10.
Yeah, Watch Mojo stuff is always in my feed. I'm sure it's probably because I work at a movie theater, so I'm watching trailers and stuff like that frequently. Does that stuff pop up for you guys? as well? Like
no, but I
top 10
make a
actors who
concentrated
did
effort
Right.
to stop watching those, so
Oh.
stop doing it. And I'm saying
find
I'm
it
not
interesting.
interested when they pop up. Sometimes I am,
Well, yeah,
but
those
not
are-
on my entire feed.
Those are money makers.
I think that they're so entertaining,
Yeah.
just because I already have invested time into that type of content. So
Yeah.
learning more about it is
We're just
Really great.
repurposing other people's content.
yeah.
But I do know there's YouTubers that'll be like, if you want to know more about this, go check out the Instagram post I made about it, or something like that. And it does well to bring engagement to other platforms that you're on. So yeah, I would count it out.
Yeah.
So, but I also a secondary channel would be really good for
Mhm.
stuff we really don't want to cut, but we just don't feel it fits in.
Yeah. Or if we want to do a spin-off, like
Mhm.
talk to a bunch of experts and we're like, let's already on the line, let's interview them, like ask them what are the questions and series of like that.
Yeah.
But to focus on creating one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To keep in the back line, there might be something we want to integrate is somehow fitting Instagram into our story flow to plug that more, make it more integrated. We tried the whole put up or shut up, which didn't seem to get much traction.
Yeah. It got a lot of attention to the Instagram, but people weren't willing to dedicate the time to actually
Try to
challenge.
That's because everyone
Yeah.
just shit talker, so they
Yeah.
take the 2 seconds to tear you down and do anything.
Yeah.
But I think is that just you're the expert on Instagram, but like balancing that with like kind of behind the scenes stuff and like process stuff, and not just always promotional. Like
Yeah.
a nice
Yeah.
picture that's always like catch us
Exactly.
now. Sometimes it's nice. Like I truly enjoy seeing like this is what I've been working on, or what's been keeping me busy this week is like this
Right.
project.
Well,
Because then I know obviously that's coming up.
That's a good use for the prototyping when just filming stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if you want to see more of like the prototyping process I went through for this, check it out on Instagram.
Right.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good, and I can work with Sam on that.
Yeah.
Prototype.
Yeah.
Does frequency make a huge difference on Instagram as well?
Oh yeah.
If you post too
Yeah.
frequently, people aren't as engaged because then you're basically blowing up their feed. If you don't post frequently enough, you don't show up enough on their
Right.
feed.
Mhm.
So it's a fine line between like posting every like 2-3 days.
But I
Well, I
think it's also context, because I think if your feed is about what I'm doing right now, and it's like it's your people getting to see what you set it up that like this is what I'm doing right now. I'm here. I'm out doing this, and hey, look where I am, and I'm doing this. I think that gives context where I think people are willing to see that.
The
Yeah, I
only
feel like you're
issue
sparing.
is that then it won't look very curated on your feed, whereas if you put that on your story, that would be a little bit more applicable. And
Okay.
also, there's the balance between keeping certain things secret for Patreon only, because that is what they pay for, versus always putting everything you do online.
Right. Right.
So there's a sort of like lag time
Right.
between what's happening right now and what you put on social media
Yeah.
because of Patreon.
But I guess what I'm wondering if what's that?
Oh, just Liz had commented. So I was gonna
Okay.
Oh, okay. This says some list channels have original content, but most of the time it's rehash. What if you did lists with pieces of previous episodes, maybe stuff that wasn't enough for a full episode, like once a season? So I think by that just kind of mean like, or like, it could be like 5 things I wanted to build. Just basically 5 things I wanted to build that weren't worth a whole episode, but I thought were interesting, or like.
That's a good idea. We could be like end cap after a couple months or something. Like, these are all the ones the users commented they want to see me make, but I didn't really feel like it deserved an episode, so let's pick a few of them.
Yeah, and then people can feel like they're being heard.
Yeah, I think that works.
And yeah. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks, Liz.
So then,
I think so. I wonder. No, that's fine. 'Cause I think, like you said, if we can really be efficient, where we're not wasting time doing research that we don't need or something. But
That's really the key component.
yeah. But the alternative is if we end up realizing that we can't really fast track, then it's some way to include the audience in that process. I think could also be beneficial, because I feel like, I guess what I was trying to say, like if if we can include the audience in that process, then actually the wait that they have to make for the final video would not be as stressful because they're riding along with us. Because I feel like one of the challenges we have right now is that nobody knows what we're working on, and then the video comes out, and basically we're just there's no lead up to it, and then there's no follow up, and I feel like that's where we're losing people or we're missing out on getting engagement because of that. And if there's any way we could do that with this.
I think the sort of like narrative storytelling of this process would allow that sort of like, you know what's coming next, there's like a full narrative. And not only that, but our Patreons that we currently have are already receiving that. It's just people who aren't Patreons because we do post weekly updates and they know exactly when the videos are coming out and they're aware of the processes we're at. So I think that's like a paid thing as it stands right now in order to like know where we're at in the process, what's coming next. So
do we push that more then? Because like, do we really outline that that's what you get as a Patreon in the end cap of the video right now, or we just kind of say support us on Patreon?
I don't know. I think maybe like having Patreon exclusive polls for certain things might be beneficial. Whereas like certain polls are like for naming things like the general public can do, but Patreons can decide like maybe which thing from the pool comes next.
Yeah.
Like they have to have certain benefits and perks that are above the
general.
limit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I was just saying like if you push at the end of the video, if we're not already pushing at the end of the videos, like if you want way more up to date in the moment, what like updates and like a lot more background to the video or like lead up to the video. I don't know how you would phrase that.
Yeah. Exposition.
Then follow like support us on Patreon.
Yeah. And I think the part that Brian was saying where we were losing people because they weren't sure what was coming next or what's happening, the narrative format would solve that because they will have a vague idea of what's coming next or what's around the corner, so they're invested even if they're not a Patreon, but Patreons still get that extra perk.
I think if we do end up finding these builds take too long and we have long gaps, finding ways to split them would be achievable, especially if it's like instead of suddenly build all the tools to make a boat in the next video, I'm going to make a boat. That I feel like is more natural split. That we split it up too much where it's like I'm building 1/3 of a boat in this video.
Right.
Has the issue then that we have to fight for every person who views our video. So every video needs to be self-contained and have a good hook. Then building a boat part 2 of 5.
Right.
Liz said something. As a patron, I'm perfectly fine with that information not requiring Patreon. So just like the updates.
And then I think we can all probably get better about just taking photos along the way for Instagram.
Yeah.
Because I will forget for days that we're doing that. Because I normally use Instagram. That's not on my radar. But we should definitely keep that in mind.
And I think with a clear like posting schedule and filming schedule, it'll help me curate my posting schedule. Because if I know when a video is coming out, I know when to start boosting it and then when to sort of like slide into casual stuff. Because there still should be promotional media on Instagram. I think that's necessary.
Yeah.
But I agree.
I feel like the last posts that I can remember for us were just promotional.
Yeah.
Like, catch the new episode this Friday. And I was like, cool.
Yeah. For sure.
I can get better about that too, especially with full times. I take picture like Dobby in a harness and then like a little potato. Like I don't know. I'm just like maybe something like this for Instagram, and then you can lead to it.
I think it's just because like as of now, I'm not too sure when anything's coming out. Because all I know is that the electric guitar is coming out on the 30th, so I'm preparing some stuff for that as well as the thumbnail. But I'm not sure what else is coming out.
In the meeting, I did record for you.
Oh, Andy!
Sorry.
It's on the back of the board.
Okay.
Here. So far planned. A lot of things are up in the air.
Okay.
Get one again.
Okay. Is there any way you can update the Excel sheet that has the swimming schedule on it for Monday? Or any of
Are
those?
you on the calendar?
Yeah.
So the third veteran release dates?
It's not a calendar. It's an Excel sheet.
Yeah. That's stuff using
I know.
that
I'm very aware. It's like the first thing I checked.
Oh, Liz has some things. More photos of the cat.
one.
I'm guessing this. You could post
Yeah.
teaser images, like show a small portion of a current project that's not obvious, and ask people to guess what they think it is.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
I've done that before with some of the. I can't remember.
No, but yeah,
Yeah. There's been stuff like that before.
everyone loves Dub.
Yeah, everyone does love
What about Bill?
Dobby.
You can get him in some.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe it's like Andy and Dobby, Annalise and Bill.
Yeah, Bill's my sidekick.
Yeah.
Trying to be Soren, but he just be
I wouldn't
big.
even- Bill only comes out like after a long day of sleeping.
Yeah.
His bed in there.
He can be
It's raining.
just like once in a while.
Yeah.
He'll be the gem divine.
Yeah, there's a big shop foreman, can't have.
He's our cryptid. Once a blue moon.
Wrap this up.
I think so.
Sure.
Anything else?
Going for about 2 hours.
This is great. I feel like it should really help.
That's all done.
Uh,
Maybe we can write it onto a different documents.
Yeah. I'll put something up.
Alright,
Start
that'll work.
flipping it up or find it with you. Videos.
And then a question about the intro and outro bumper
Mhm.
or the end screen.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, were you thinking that the outro tease should be unique or the end screen should be unique? 'Cause
Outro. Please.
I thought so too, because the end screen and the intro should kind of be the
Same.
same, right?
Mhm.
Or like
Mm-hmm.
not same as each
Yeah.
other, but the same every time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but the outro tease is unique because it's still like, so I'm gonna take all this stuff I built this time and use it to make a book next time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that has to be different every time because obviously what you made in the video, what you're gonna do next.
And then obviously putting in your plugs.
Liz says, thank you so much for letting me sit in. Honestly, it was awesome to be able to participate in the process.
Thanks,
Thanks
Liz.
for having Liz.
Thanks for joining us. I'm glad somebody showed up.
What do you call it? Reliable Liz?
We should find out some more of these. I think it's a good,
Mm-hmm.
easy way to include people.
Yeah, we
This-
should have more live streams. Because I know in the Patreon rewards, it's like once a quarter.
Yeah.
And I think it should be a lot more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think this format will make this feel like more like a cohesive show, which I don't know. It seems like what you're going for.
Yeah.
It's more of a show, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of the episodes that I don't know about like
Yay,
1,000
nicknames.
episodes or something, and you got done 200 or something, but they all have like a little bit of a different tone to them,
Mhm.
which I think is
Mhm.
still possible with the new
Yeah.
format, but it could help it to feel more cohesive,
Yeah.
or it will help to feel that way.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, it might be ideally if we do figure out a format to have, allocate like producers to kind of handle like the whole episode, be in charge of, beginning to end, so that it can be somebody, like a single person who can help kind of create that through line and also adapt to it. Because otherwise it's, I don't know if it's everybody just kind of doing disparate things, and then it's always on Andy to kind of be the one to bring it all together. And
And it'd be good if like people want to lay claims to ideas that they are very interested in.
yeah,
Take reins.
And
Yeah.
so are we attempting to write out our outlines for all these much in advance? I mean, that seems pretty
Yeah.
ambitious.
As much as we can.
mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that could take a whole day just to outline any one of these.
I think it'd be a rough outline.
Right.
And like 2 months before we really flesh it out.
Right.
You know any copywriter or not copywriters? You know any writers like would be interested in doing something like that? Like take this, I don't know, outsourcing that would be in budget, or if it would, because I think that part of the problem with that is like this is such a Herculean task to take this on, and then it's like you're outlining them too. That's going to be
Right.
huge. Yeah.
Do it with phases, and it might be just finding the expert for all of them,
Yeah.
and like letting them write the outline almost. And I want like the outlines to be almost like just fill in the blank. Like, what do you need for materials? What do you need for tools?
Right.
Experts.
Yeah.
I think the experts are supposed to start because then it springboards your research in the right direction on the essentials, and you don't, like you said, research a bunch of stuff you don't need.
Yeah.
And that gives you what you need to probably put an idea in place for prototyping for like the first run, and then the materials and tools you'll need.
And hopefully like this concept of like we're building civilization from scratch will like really excite a lot of experts we talk to.
But I think like it's you know, out being able to outsource, because obviously we just don't have the resources right now. Like, you know, the group here, we can't handle all this. You know, but yeah, if we are able to kind of come up with a phase structure, we could outsource some of this. Yeah, and you know, maybe even bring in some experienced producers who know how to kind of take complex concepts and turn them into a story, a short storyline or faster thing. But it does seem like having individual, like having us kind of figure out doing the first few ourselves to figure out what works would be helpful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at it. See, so I think that part of the hang up is that this is like a.
Oh,
Yeah.
Liz just posted more.
You want to read it?
Sure. Scheduling is the hardest part. You guys have fans in a wide variety of time zones. Which part would you want to outsource, the basic outline or the in-depth research? Has the Discord been helpful for that? I'll be honest, I'm not super active on it. So.
It's been hit and miss. I'd say like, a lot of times managing a large group of people is easier said than done, and ends up being more difficult. A lot of times you go off on tangents that aren't quite related. Like, if you can build like a really structured format that like anybody can jump in, produce or figure out, put in the pieces for a video, I think it'd be possible. So that might be like we do the Iron Age, flesh all those out ourselves, figure out the format, and then we outsource everything else. And there's only like 400 or 500 ideas on here.
Well, that's what I was saying. Is that I think that part of the reason why it seems so insurmountable is because you look at years of combined. If you do this by yourself, it's going to take you years. But because we're doing this over the course of years, with several people, I don't think that it's. I don't know. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work.
I mentioned Sam was divided. We should divide it into kind of phases of build up the Iron Age, build up the steam engine, and then everything beyond that. And kind of just focus on the one era first, so that this is a lot more manageable than everything. And then flesh this out. Because the time we get done with this whole list might be completely different. Everything else we discover along.
And then, let's see. What about the pool? Are those videos being done as well, or are we not doing those? Or I said that they're maybe or maybe not.
Yeah, they're optional, and I guess it's more just like if you feel like this video is going to be super awesome. Here's my pitch of why this is going to be our next top video, or like, or if we want to attract sponsors of like, I think the chair, home furniture would totally sponsor us. Pitch it to them. and or like I already pitched it to them and they're on board. So let's do a chair. We can give us X amount of money.
Find a sponsor probably pretty easy. Probably.
Oh yeah. Mm.
Yeah, and then
Personally, I think I'd rather focus on the primary chain right away and get us the Iron Age. So I feel like most of these in the pool we can go back and do at any point. And again, the Iron Age just opens a lot more up. And we want to get everything for technology.
By the way, I can't see the document you shared. I get an error.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Check that out.
Oh, I just thought of this because I kept seeing taxation and it made me think of taxidermy. We should do some taxidermy. Joey's partner.
Joey's partner. Does that. There's also the international taxidermy competition that's somewhere. Is it Chicago in Illinois?
I literally don't know. I just know.
It's in Illinois, so it's like not a far drive, and it happens in the spring. So that could be a thing. You want to promote that, see if you can get sponsorship, maybe. But yeah.
Do you think? I know we're gonna kind of cut back big travel, but as a maybe Patreon reward, maybe just something to post on the side channel, like more travel vlog type things. You cut out a lot of the travel in actual in video.
Tried to do that when we took our first big trip to Mexico, and like we just had so much crammed in to optimize everything we were able to get that it was just like impossible to set aside time for the vlog and stuff like that.
I was just thinking of travel vlog as a taxidermy. Really interesting to watch.
I think a lot of that can be accomplished in Instagram stories and clips on Facebook.
Good meeting.
Good meeting.
Yay.
Go team.
do it now.
We don't have a gavel yet.
Alright. Thanks for watching, Liz.
Thanks, Liz.
Also, everyone who visited the live stream liked it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Hell yeah.
That's 100% accepted.
Yeah. See you next time, Liz. Yes.